For this That Was the Team That Was video, I've travelled back into the 1960s and to the starting 11 of the 1964-65 vintage. Remember, this is about the season's starting 11, which in this era, and before, far more than in the late 70s and 80s onwards, is almost universally judged by the number of games played individually. I'll be clearer, there was no squad rotation, or even subs allowed. In this season, apart from the starting 11, the other 27 individual starting places spread over the whole rest of the 60-game campaign were shared by just 8 other players. After a second place finish the season before, Matt Busby's men were entered into the Intercities Fairs Cup and so were fighting on 3 fronts, including the First Division and the FA Cup. United had chosen not to take part in the still fairly new Football League Cup. So let's start with the man between the sticks, and being the mid-60s you might have been forgiven to think it'd be David Gaskell or even Harry Gregg. But injuries to these squad rivals gave Pat Dunne the opportunity he required, and he ended up playing 55 of the 60 matches this season. Pat was a bona fide athlete, catching balls that were phenomenal, and was insanely brave. That said, the Irishman was unsure on crosses, and this would be the only season where he would dominate the number 1 jersey. Mancunian Shay Brennan was arguably one of the best fullbacks in the country at this time. Shay had been slotted in as a right back for several seasons and could pass and tackle well as glide past opponents. Shay was one of the 4 ever-presents for United this season and kept club skipper Noel Cantwell looking on from the stands. Maybe quality Irish fullbacks began with Tony Dunne, who knows, but he was first class. He was comfortable in possession, had great acceleration and speed, and was versatile enough to be effective on both flanks. He was your old-fashioned fullback, covering his defenders and blocked any gaps that would appear. Tony was another ever-present in the side this term. Paddy Crerand was a marvellous wing half, a ferocious tackler who was also a sublime passer of the ball, creating opportunities for the front men, or simply moving it on for them to use it themselves to carve out opportunities. Crerand formed a great understanding with Charlton and Law. He only helped himself to a handful of goals, but his contribution was greatly felt elsewhere. Bill Foulkes was well into his 30s when the season began, but was still a stalwart at the back. He was strong, on the ground and in the air, and fantastically fit. He was in control at the back. Against Borussia Dortmund in November of this campaign, he took over from the legendary Joe Spence as the greatest appearance maker for the club, with 511 matches and counting. Nobby is often only seen as a stopper. A player just went around kicking the opposition into submission. Well, whilst he did a bit of that, he was also an intelligent all-round footballer. The England man was fearless, yet a good passer, and was able to win and retain possession, allowing space for his more skillful attacking teammates. His contribution to this title-winning United side led to England recognition towards the end of the campaign. John Connelly was a brilliant, ever-present winger that you don't hear enough about, even after scoring 20 times during this glorious season. The England man had a deft touch with both feet and knew how to cross the ball well. He was quick and worked as hard as anyone over the almost 5,500 minutes he played during the campaign. Like Tony Dunne, he could play on either flank and would switch with George Best when necessary. Bobby Charlton played all but 1 match this season as an attacking midfielder forward and provided a return of 18 goals. Apart from tackling, Bobby did it all when he had the ball, with 2 great feet and the confidence that he knew he could do everything. Now in Bobby Charlton's traditional number 9 shirt, David Hurd was belting them in with a regularity and power comparable to the great man. The Scot was now 30 but didn't show any signs of slowing down. He scored 28 times in 55 games, the second most that term. The King was also club captain. He was joint skipper with Noel Cantwell, but as already mentioned, the latter rarely played. The Scot was in his pomp and prime this season, scoring 39 goals in 52 matches. It would be the second most prolific season in a red shirt for Dennis, and his goal scoring with David Hurd helped us win the title on goal average from Leeds. In recognition of his efforts, King Dennis was rewarded with a Balon d'Or this season. 1964-65 was George Best's first full season as a United starter, and it was the first campaign that the Holy Trinity of Best, Law and Charlton showed their worth. Between them they scored over 60 goals, more than 1 a game. The 18-year-old already showed his flair and talent this campaign, with imagination and finishing well beyond his years, showed him to be an instant star. He played all but 1 match for the side, scoring 14 times. The best was still yet to come. So that was the first 11 for That Was the Team That Was 1964-65. What are your memories of the season? Please write in the comments below, like, share and subscribe. Thank you as always for your support.